Hello my dear students, welcome to your Geography's online class. Today, in this session, we will be discussing about the demands of water and various conservation methods practiced in India. As in an earlier class, we already have dealt with water resources, the availability and its various sources. In this, we will be discussing that how much of water is utilized in different sectors in India. When we talk about water and its demand, it is always high, as like I already told you, in such a populous country with a population of over 130 crores, the demand of water always remains high. But when it comes to its utilization, in most of the cases, what we find in other countries or other developed countries, waters are utilized mostly by industries. But India, as an agricultural country, we always find that the maximum utilization of water is in agricultural sector. Here in this case, if we happen to see in terms of agriculture and water utilization, we find that near about 89% of surface water and almost 92% of the groundwater is utilized by agricultural activity. So this totally states that being an agrarian economy, the demand of water is high in this agricultural sector. While in other sectors like industries, that is apart from agricultural practice, industries only utilizes a mere of 5% of water resources in India. So 5% is by industries, while 9% is mostly consumed by domestic activities. So here you see 89% of surface water, 92% of groundwater is all consumed by agriculture. So this is where we get to see the maximum utilization. But with the rapid developmental activities taking place and with a fast-paced development towards industrial sector, we see or we may observe in coming years that the amount of water utilized in the agricultural sector may reduce than as compared to what we have now. Agricultural sector, here mostly water is supplied in the fields through irrigation activities. As though only it's a rainfall, the natural source of water or providing water to the agricultural field in a natural way. Else, with all the sources of water that we have, they are mostly provided with the help of irrigation facilities, which is an artificial supply of water. Water problems. As we discussed in our earlier class, that it's the whole world which is facing an acute problem because of water shortage. Or even whatever is available at present is at threat. The usable water is a threat. The reason being the various activities carried out by human beings. When we talk about water problems, industrialization, overutilization of chemical fertilizers in the agricultural fields, or increasing number of population and large-scale deforestation that is taking place on this earth is resulting to create a huge problem over the water resources. With excessive use of chemical fertilizers in agricultural sector, it leads to the problems of eutrophication. The chemicals that are given in the agricultural fields, they mix up with the irrigated water and seeps inside the ground, which later on goes to mix with the underground water. Or some, they act as runoff and goes on to meet with the rivers or lakes and ponds. So this contaminates the water which is already present on this earth. With the contamination of water or the water turning quite more polluted results in a huge problem. not just in terms of utilization in the agricultural sector, but also a shortage in the domestic uses. So these problems, the water problems that arises because of industrialization, in terms of industrialization, when we see the waters, dirty waters that are let out from the industries goes on to meet the rivers or ponds or seas or lakes and then pollutes the water. So these all results in a huge problem to arise later, giving a rise to shortage of fresh water. But then how can this problem be resolved, or how can we solve this problem? To see this, the remedies is the only factor, that is conservation of water. Conservation of water. This has become now, at this time, very important because there is a shortage of water supply. This shortage of water supply will lead to a huge problem in coming years if not taken care. So in order to keep adequate supply of water, we need to conserve them for whatever is present. Conservation is a method in which we try to protect our natural resources, not just for its utilization at the present, but considering its utilization and availability even in the future times. So when we talk about conservation of water, few points that we can discuss is, or so to say, how can we conserve water is following a proper technological method in safeguarding water. Second, by controlling the pollution of water. And third, by encouraging the development of watershed management, rainwater harvesting, recycling and reusing of water. So these 3 points, if we take care, or if these 3 things are taken care, then we see that it becomes much easier for the conservation of water. So 3 points are, so the 3 points once again are, see, developing water saving technologies or methods, preventing pollution of water, and encouraging the rainwater harvesting, watershed development, and reuse and recycling of water in order to conserve the water, not just for now, like I said, but also for the future purpose. Now let us discuss the 3 techniques of conserving water, that is rainwater harvesting, watershed management, and reusing and recycling of water. Let us first discuss the prevention of water from pollution. How can we do it, or how is it done? The Central Pollution Control Board in India, in collaboration with the State Pollution Control Board, has been monitoring waters over almost 507 stations. It is understood and also a known fact that river Yamuna and Ganga has been largely polluted. Polluted because of the industrial region that have been set up on either side of this rivers, on the bank of this rivers. So the industrial effluents that comes out, or as a waste material that comes out from the industries, are all drained into this water and results in its pollution. It is not just the rivers, but even the underground water are largely contaminated because of overuse of chemical fertilizers in agricultural fields, to what is we call eutrophication. So this has led to a large scale water pollution. So the boards have come up with water acts with Special Pollution Control Act, one that of 1974 and the other in 1986 as an Environmental Protection Act. Though the acts have been passed in India, yet their effectiveness is not much seen. So this is where we lack again. Also in 1977, an act was passed, Water Act was passed, with a view or an aim to reduce pollution of water. But its implementation again comes very low. Or you can say that water still is polluted at higher rate. So what comes thereafter? If this pace moves on, if we move on with the same pace of water pollution, then it may happen in a near future that we would strive for getting even a drop of water, of fresh water. So it is not just the act now. What has become more important because of the failures of these acts is public awareness. Like you, we, us, we all of us have to be concerned about water and maintaining its quality. So public awareness now would play a very important role in terms of water control, water pollution control. Now let us discuss about the methods that how we can conserve water in other ways. Apart from controlling the pollution, we can also conserve water which in large goes as a waste. So the first method to discuss is recycling and reusing of water. Reusing and recycling is one of the simplest method of conserving water. It's so simple. We can reuse the water by recycling it. The water which are impure can be filtered through the process like desalinization and then can again be used in various purposes. Not just industrial purposes but also in the domestic cases. So reuse and recycle comes as one of the most easiest method in terms of water conservation. And in other cases, we find waters of inferior quality which may not be suitable for domestic purpose or say like for drinking as it relates to the health issues. So such waters, inferior quality waters can be utilized in industrial purposes for various activities that takes place within an industries. So this is how we can conserve the water. The next as a conservation method to discuss is watershed management. A watershed management, in fact, you can say a watershed is a geographic area where almost the water or waters from nearby area drains into one particular place. We can consider it to be a kind of reservoir where water is stored for future purposes. Mostly with the aim to provide waters for domestic purposes in rural areas like for drinking and also for their other domestic purposes. But this very water also is utilized in agricultural sector. So when we talk about watershed development or watershed management, it gives us an idea of an holistic approach or an overall developmental approach considering the practices of agriculture, domestications of animals, and also water utilized for domestic purposes and also for horticulture. So this is where we see an holistic approach in terms of watershed management. With the reservoir being constructed in one of a particular area with combined activities of various groups or villages. So the water stored on those reservoirs are very well distributed among those villages for various economic activities or domestic activities. Such is an importance of watershed management. So in such case, if we have to see, there is a scheme called Haryali been proposed by the central government as a part of watershed management. There is also Neru Meru, which is water and you as it means in Andhra Pradesh, and Alvari Pani Sansad in Rajasthan. These are the two important schemes that have been working as a part of watershed management. The sole purpose of this watershed management is to provide water supply throughout, mostly to the rural areas, carrying out various activities. The last one of to discuss as a conservation method is rainwater harvesting. It's so simple to understand. Rainwater, that is the water which we naturally get. Most of these rainwater simply drains as surface runoff or flows into various other water bodies, which acts as a waste. So this water can be utilized or harnessed into various activities. So rainwater harvesting can be considered as one of the common conservation method which can be practiced throughout the country. Rainwater harvesting can also be done in order to recharge the groundwater, which now has become an hour of need, because these water which just simply flows out can be collected in a recharge pit, in a pre-collision pit, from where water can easily enter the subsurface, and hence groundwater can as well be recharged. Rainwater harvesting meets up the future demand of water. In fact, we can say it is so important that it can solve half of the problem that we are facing because of water shortage. If we need to sideline the objectives of rainwater harvesting, then we can easily understand it, that how important it becomes. It helps in recharging the groundwater. It can meet the demand of water that we have in the country. It controls soil erosion. It controls flooding situation. Rainwater that are harvested can also meet the domestic demand of water. So this is how we can see that water can be conserved. And like I said, it's not just with the acts that are passed that can help us conserve the water, but most importantly, it is the public awareness that will bring the solution to the problems that we are facing because of water shortage. Public like you, me, all of us, our surrounding, our people, we make them aware about the importance of water. We do not waste water. Then we see most of the problem will be solved. And the future remains in the safe hands. And to this as well, to what we call sustainable development. Thank you, class. You'll have a good time. Hoping that you will create awareness about safeguarding of water and conserving water. Thank you all and have a good time.